Hello and welcome back to the Motorsport Better podcast. I'm your host DD and joining me once again today is my friend and your co-host Vedant. On this episode, we will be talking about the Monaco Grand Prix coming up next weekend. So, let's grab some chai, take our seats, ready our opinions, and dive right into the conversation. Hello Vedant, it's been an exciting weekend of motorsport so far and a lot more to come this coming week.
Yes, hello Divya. It's great to be back. And yeah, as you said, an exciting weekend for motorsports with the French GP in MotoGP and the IndyCar race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which Romain Grosjean finished second after taking pole. So quite impressive. But
Absolutely. And we'll be talking about that in a different episode later in the week. But yeah, let's talk about the Gulf livery that just got released literally 5 minutes ago. The Gulf livery for McLaren at the Monaco Grand Prix. What are your first impressions about it?
yeah, I mean it's a nice looking car, and I mean it's great to have a Gulf livery back in motorsports. Certainly, that livery has never been raised in Formula One. That iconic Gulf livery. So that is going to be a sweet sight, especially at a track like Monaco. Because I love the overalls, and I know you do too. But the livery is not. Yeah, it still lacks something for me.
I guess so, but yeah, definitely. I love the overalls way more than the livery itself. But it's kind of exciting to have a one-off livery. I know, like a couple of weeks ago, we were attending a webinar on marketing and motorsport, and we're talking about how NASCAR and IndyCar have one-off liveries way more often than Formula One, and then literally like the next race we have a one-off livery from McLaren in Formula One.
Yeah.
So just kind of weird there. And also we are looking at a 2021 calendar reshuffle coming up after the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. So instead of having the race in Turkey, the race in France has been preponed to the 18th June weekend, and we'll have a double header in Austria just like last year. And when I hear a double header in Austria, all that goes off in my head is scenario 7, and that's all that comes to mind. So yeah.
Yeah, and Lando Norris is on a great form right now. So that scenario 7 moments might come back for us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anyway, so let's get down to the Monaco preview. Now we've heard reports of Ferrari stopping development, most of it at least after the Spanish Grand Prix, and apparently McLaren are still pushing for a lot of new parts that will come over. We also saw Mercedes just unlocking some insane pace over the Iberian GP weekend. Even in they're not behind even in qualifying anymore compared to the Red Bull. And going into the Iberian Grand Prix doubleheader, we thought that coming out of it we'll have a better, I guess, a better sense of the pecking order. But it's only made things worse. Alpine locked some pace over the past 2 weekends. AlphaTauri kind of just fell off, and Ferrari had some good race pace over the Spanish Grand Prix, while McLaren didn't have a dreadful weekend, but not as well compared to the first 3 rounds. So I just don't know where the midfield stands, and nor can I say anything about what is there to be for the front runners in Mercedes and Red Bull. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have, like, in my head, I have made blocks of two teams each. So there are five blocks, but of course, there will be a shuffle. So we know the top two, Mercedes and Red Bull. Then we know Ferrari and McLaren are the next two as of now. Then after Alpine unlocking that pace, I believe Alpine and AlphaTauri are right there behind Ferrari and McLaren. Then of course we have Aston Martin and Alfa Romeo leading that uh, group that is behind with Williams and Haas. So far, like, I have divided them into groups of two, but of course the midfield is too competitive and everyone wants those extra points. Even 2 points make a difference in this group. So it will be great to see over the season how this groups changes.
Absolutely. And I don't think Aston Martin has an excuse anymore. Like when the season began, both Aston Martin and Mercedes were of the opinion that these regulations have been brought into action to push back the Mercedes concept per se. And because Aston Martin copied the Mercedes concept a couple years ago, they were also greatly affected by the rule change that was brought in for 2021. But Mercedes has been able to unlock that pace. They have been able to hold on to, I guess, the P1 position at the front of the grid. But Aston Martin has not been able to claw back that pace. And what can we expect from them in the coming days? Because I feel, even though it's just been 4 races into the season, there is a huge, technical overhaul for next year, and they have to start working on that at at full pace if they haven't already. And it also begs the question, since someone like Aston Martin had copied the Mercedes concept a couple years ago, they don't have a concept to copy anymore for 2022. So what development direction are they going to take? Are they going to go with the Mercedes philosophy that Mercedes has followed for so long, or are they going to switch to something that they did previously, or are they going to go more towards like a Red Bull philosophy that we've seen a lot more teams switch to over the last few years in the turbo hybrid era?
Yeah, your second point is very interesting because every team will have a clean slate for 2022, and every team can do whatever they want and develop their car according to their own needs and preferences going into 2022. So that will be very interesting to see how each team, not only Aston Martin, but every other team take that go into 2022. But as you said, Aston Martin do not have any more excuses left. They tried going to court. That also was a strange, strange comments by Otmar. But I mean, we saw in the Drive to Survive series, Lawrence Stroll can be a hard operator, and I'm just imagining what Otmar might be going through, uh, answering back to Lawrence that, oh, see, we don't have pace right now or whatever, but they are certainly in a very, very, very bad spot right now, given what their performance was last season.
Absolutely, and I don't think going to Monaco is going to make it any easier, especially since qualifying holds, uh, it is basically the qualifying grid that will determine who finishes where,
Yeah.
pretty much. But now let's talk about Perez. Now, in the last podcast, I was quick to come to Perez's rescue, and I was like, just look at everyone who switched teams, including Perez, and everybody is struggling. So by that measure, Perez isn't doing too bad. I'd say he's somewhere in there, just doing as much as Carlos and maybe not as much as Carlos, but as much as Daniel Ricciardo is doing in the McLaren.
Yeah.
But obviously, Perez was brought into the Red Bull team for a different reason. He was brought into the team because Red Bull, Helmut Marko and Christian Horner thought that someone who has the experience that Sergio Perez has will allow him to adapt to the Red Bull much more quickly, and thus not only help Max challenge for the driver's title, but also help Red Bull challenge for the constructor's title, and that has not happened so far. And Perez did say, that he's trying his best, and obviously there were like he had some physical injuries, or he was struggling with his physical health in the last Grand Prix. But what does this mean for Red Bull for the rest of the season and even going into 2022? Especially since another precursor to the Indy Road Course podcast that we'll be doing, Rinus VK. Dutch, fast, young, fits the bill. Is he a Red Bull 2022 seat contender?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think that. So what are your thoughts on Perez? I think if you look back, and I know there was some analysis going around Twitter too that Perez is one of the slowest between Gasly, Albon, and himself. But I think we're just being, obviously we should be critical of him and considering why he was brought into Red Bull. But again, I think we need to give him a little more time, considering what all other drivers are struggling with, because of switching teams.
Yeah, it's a strange catch 22 kind of situation. He wants to give his all, and Red Bull do want to extract everything and fight for the championships. But we know from the last 2 seasons, even Pierre Gasly and Alex Albon, like Albon had a very impressive first half season in 2019, and then he struggled in 2020, right? So
Absolutely.
that second seat in Red Bull, I don't know. Like, we don't know the reasons for it, and we don't know what's going behind the scenes. But that second seat is certainly one of the strangest things in Formula One right now. And if someone like Sergio Perez is not coping up with it that well that everyone had expected, it's going to be a tricky season for Red Bull going ahead because they are already on the back foot right now.
Absolutely, and Red Bull's troubles don't end there. We also have the Red Bull wing controversy. Lewis Hamilton pointed out after the race that Red Bull's wings were flexing a little bit too much during the race, which apparently gave them a tenth around the lap. But from the discussions we've seen online so far over the last week and a half, it seems that most teams are using some sort of flexing mechanism on the wings. There's some sort of flex on the wings on every team's car, and Red Bull is not the only one who's guilty of it. They might be guilty of pushing the regulations too far, though, which happens in any case. And the flexing bodywork is something that FIA has always tried to clamp down on, but it hasn't actively made an effort in the last couple of years, or at least ever since the Red Bull wing controversy that happened last, I think in 2011 or 2012, something like that. So, what are your thoughts? I'm of the opinion that changing regulations mid-season is not my, it's not my favorite thing, but we've seen it happen in the past with, Ferrari. They were something we don't know the details of what went down with the Ferrari engine, but we did see Ferrari lose engine power at the Circuit of the Americas later in the season once FIA and Ferrari came to a deal. So,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on changing regulations mid-season?
I mean, see, changing regulations mid-season when those regulations are going to carry forward in the subsequent seasons is still a viable option because it will provide them with that direction for the future seasons. But now that the 2022 regulations are bringing in something completely new, I don't think there's any need, or I mean, in a way, it won't affect them too much in the future as well. It's just these 15 odd races now.
Yeah, and I just think it's a bit unnecessary, especially since we have a good title fight in the front already, and I wouldn't want Red Bull falling behind
That's
anymore
true. That's
for
true.
any other reason, right? And
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we did see Mercedes bring in a new system last year, which was allowed for the entire season. So I don't know why they would change the regulations once again if the wings are passing the test that FIA mandated that they needed to pass. Just
Yeah. That.
change it next season, change the tests next season, and update your regulations then. I don't know. I guess it's not the biggest deal, but from what we have heard, teams do have time. Like they have a month to change their wings, and they'll have a 20% leeway in whatever conditions they're supposed to meet with their wings at the Monaco Grand Prix when the wings will be tested once again.
I mean, see, the performance in Formula One comes from pushing the rules to the limits, right?
Absolutely.
And finding that gray area. Now we see it happen every season, and we see it happen with every single team. But it is something I mean the gray area and that development war is something we love about Formula One. And if they clamp down on it too much, it's like clamping down on the freedom of speech or something like that.
Oh my god. I don't
mean,
know
not-
about that, but
yeah,
yeah,
but-
sure. I guess.
But yeah, what I'm trying to say is that they're trying to curb the imagination and curb the progress that these teams can make. So let's not do it this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't feel really great about doing it this season, but there's no stopping them now because they have been put in place. But yeah, I'm kind of excited about this Monaco Grand Prix though. Strategy played a huge role in the Spanish Grand Prix, and we know Monaco Grand Prix can be really interesting once those strategies kick in. So I'm really excited about what is to come and what the teams will be doing over the course of this weekend. And I think Ferrari has a good chance of finishing on the podium this weekend if Charles Leclerc puts it on the second row, not even the first row. If he puts it on the second row in qualifying, I think Ferrari have a outside chance for a podium. What are your thoughts? What are you expecting from this weekend?
Well, firstly, as you said, Charles Leclerc can be on the podium because we now know Ferrari are leading the midfield along with McLaren. So, and Charles Leclerc is the fastest guy out of those four people in qualifying right now. So if he gets that P3 or P4, as you said, and if Ferrari get his strategy absolutely bang on, which
Oof,
I am
that's a big ask.
highly doubting. That's the thing, If they do get it right, he has a fighting chance for the podium, definitely. But
Uh,
all in all, as you said, strategy will be playing a huge part in Monaco. We see people enjoying only racing situations and overtakes and all these stuff. We know people don't like Spain and Monaco exactly for this reason. But if you are a avid fan and if you like studying strategies and getting involved, it will be a great weekend.
Yep, absolutely. And we didn't have a 2020 Monaco Grand Prix, so we don't really have a very recent, comparison to make for the teams. Last in 2019, Lewis Hamilton won from pole on dying tires, if anyone remembers or cares. But talking about Lewis Hamilton has been in the news over the last week and a half talking about signing a 2-year contract. And I think that is huge news for not just Mercedes, but also for Formula One. And also, it opens up a whole I think it just like pushes the conversation about silly season much further along than we would have expected at this time of the year.
Yeah, Lewis Hamilton getting that contract will mean, I mean, that is going to create a lot of buzz around that second Mercedes seat, because we have a few contracts that will end after this season, and it will be interesting to see what Hamilton does. But as you said, it will be very good for Formula One going forward, because with their We Race as One initiative, and with Hamilton being the face of Formula One in these times. So yeah, let's
Absolutely. And another interesting interview from Lewis Hamilton. So his interview with Martin Brundle, it's making the rounds over social media and mainstream media too. Lewis Hamilton said he does not spend any time in the simulator virtually. He doesn't he doesn't do any track walks, and he doesn't do any visualization of the racetrack as preparation for the race or qualifying. Now, how surprising is that? But it just goes to show at what a different level Lewis performs on. Just imagine if Lewis were to do all of these things, he'd be winning by an hour on race day.
yeah. I mean, he has the experience. Like obviously the track visualization and the track walks, and these guys have the experience to, they know every corner of every track very well. And we know that Daniel Ricciardo also does not do a lot of track walks and all that stuff, but still these three things put together make a very mystic aura around Lewis Hamilton. Yeah.
I mean, there's Lewis Hamilton, and then there's drivers who we look at for their look up for their work ethic. We look up to for their work ethic, like Sebastian Vettel. All the engineers. He'll ask you more questions. He'll basically become an engineer in the team. He'll ask you so many questions. He wants to know everything about the car. He keeps a notebook. He does his due diligence and everything. And then there's someone like Lewis Hamilton, who's a 7-time world champion, and all of these things are not in his playbook because it doesn't work for him. But again, whatever works for them, I guess. I'm not a high performance athlete, so I wouldn't be able to comment on it.
Yeah.
But definitely an interesting take there regarding preparation. All right, now coming on to Karun Chandhok's tweet over the weekend after the IndyCar race at the Indianapolis road course. Karun Chandhok said, this is what I've been talking about: no blue flags and no tire warmers. What are your thoughts?
Well, I agree to the no tire warmers situation, the no tire warmers suggestion, because it certainly makes the grip available to them way less, and we have seen drivers struggle with grip a lot, like a lot last season, where in Nürburgring and all these places where the temperature was cold and they couldn't get heat into the tires. But I think it will make for an interesting sessions, because that grip is so crucial in Formula One with these high speeds and high downforce. A little lack of grip will make driving very difficult. But the blue flag situation is something I'm not entirely sure about, because we saw, like, Roman Grosjean potentially lost a win because there were no blue flags because he got caught up behind traffic. So that's something is like 50-50 in a way.
Especially at races like Monaco and Singapore and things like that, you can't not have blue flags. You can't have front runners. I feel battling it out with people in
Yeah,
E20 just because it's so much harder to overtake. But tire warmers, yeah, that's definitely interesting. Puts in like Karun Chandok said, puts in throws in another skill set during the race. How fast can you warm up your tires? And we've seen uh, the difference between fresh tires and just tires that are straight out of the pits,
yeah.
and that is also a huge difference right after pit stop. So that'll give the team something to think about too. Uh, but yeah, what else about the Monaco Grand Prix?
I think again the battle between the battle between McLaren and Ferrari will be the one to watch definitely because I mean two teams in the front are having their own thing, but we know Red Bull is Red Bull has historically a better package in at Monaco, but currently Mercedes is leading the championship and they look the strongest. But these two teams, Ferrari and McLaren, are in a battle of their own, and it is going to be one of the biggest points of this season. We like going into this season, we thought the midfield battle will be fought across six teams, but I think it's these two that are the most competitive right now. And with Andres Idle saying that Lando Norris can learn from Lewis Hamilton a lot and reach his huge potential, it will be a great race for great day for Lando if he can get a good Monaco result.
Absolutely, and I know this was offline, but I guess I'll make it official. But I said that Lando Norris will be the next world champion and not Max Verstappen, and I also said it'll be 2023. So according to that, it's still a long wait, but I'll put myself on the line here. But again, will the special livery curse, will the one-off livery curse, hit McLaren at the Monaco Grand Prix with a new Gulf livery for the race? That's
Yeah,
also something to watch out for. And
that
is
is
Netflix
something.
also covering that this weekend with McLaren in the garage? A lot of things to watch out for. But yeah, definitely. Another interesting thing that we missed out on was Alonso's comment that he's giving his 100% and it's still not enough to match Ocon. Now, for you, I think that must be really difficult to hear, Vedant, because I know you're a Fernando fan. And after 4 races, like I predicted, Ocon is still leading Fernando Alonso in the championship. What do you have to say about that?
See, I am a Fernando fan, but I know the reality of the situation. Yeah, he's 39. He's come back after 2 years away from Formula One, so of course he won't be able to match Esteban in his form right now. But I mean, he's performing quite well given his situation. So I'm just happy for it.
Absolutely. Well, that's all from my side. Any last thoughts from you?
Well, no, I mean Monaco Grand Prix. If you want to enjoy it and if you want to follow the strategies,
One last thing. One last thing. I gotta ask you this question. One last thing. How many people are we gonna see put into the wall this weekend? I can give you two. I can name two right off the bat.
one would be our dear friend Nikita, and second, I don't know.
Yep.
You tell me.
Yuki.
I mean, yeah,
Yuki
that
Tsunoda.
that is a possibility.
We've seen Max Verstappen put it in the wall during practice
Yeah.
many a times at Monaco too.
I mean that's what I.
And we also saw Charles Leclerc putting into the wall during the race, trying to put in some crazy overtakes in 2019. So that's four.
I mean, I was coming to Max because he wants to be giving his all for this race. Get that grid position and get that win. So it will be a shame. It will be a great shame if he wins it somehow. I'm not trying to jinx it,
I know.
but we have seen it happen. So yeah,
Yeah, even Sergio, he's not the most comfortable with the car, and this is not a place where he wants to go off anywhere uh,
and
around the
I
track.
haven't
So that'll be
I
interesting.
haven't seen the weather forecast, but if it rains, it will be very tricky for these new drivers.
Absolutely. So I'm looking at the weather forecast right now. So it's a week away, but it shows some rain on Saturday, 40% chance of precipitation. I can't see right now at what time, but it says on Saturday there's a 40 chance of precipitation, but Sunday looks clear with almost no chance for rain. So yeah, even qualifying can be a little bit interesting if that happens. Good point there. But yeah. Also, watch out for the Motorsport Beartug track guide for the Monaco Grand Prix featuring the winner of the first ever MS Beartug pole position challenge. If you want to join the competition too and feature on our page, make sure to join the Discord. Link is in the description below. Thank you for joining us today, Vedant, and I'll catch you on the next one, which will be literally in 20 minutes.